Okay, this is the world famous 3-card trick known all over the world by different names such as Chase the Ace, Find the Lady, Follow the Red Card. On this occasion, it's Follow the Red Card, Find the Lady. The Queen of Hearts is in the middle. There's 2 black 10s either side, so the Queen of Hearts is the odd one out. At the moment, it's in the middle. I'm going to keep my finger and thumb on the Queen of Hearts. I'm going to turn these cards around. Where's the Queen of Hearts now, Mr. Cameraman? In the middle? Of course it is. And I take that Queen of Hearts out. Hold it here. Where would you say the Queen of Hearts is now? This one, which means these are the 2 10s. Would you bet me a beer this is the Queen of Hearts? You would? Alright, you owe me a bottle of brown ale. My name is Chris Cross. I'm a master of magic, a perfecter of prestidigitation. That means I'm a magician. And I'm an escapologist as well. That means I get out of things. And I'm a former contortionist, a retired contortionist. I first got into magic when I was just 10 years old on the playground at school. Before then, before I was 10, it's some age, I'm not sure which age, but before the age of 10, I received this. This is the Sutty's Magic Show magic set. Unfortunately, it's incomplete. It's like a magician's nightmare. There's only a couple of things in. Still got the instructions though. So I received that at some age from my grandparents who brought me up, off my nan and granddad. But when I first got into magic as such was when a friend of mine called Martin Shields on the playground brought a magic trick in and showed me it and all the other kids at school. And I always thought Martin Shields was pretty cool. So I learned how to do the same magic trick and we kind of started learning magic tricks together. The first magic trick was called the Coin Vanisher, which I bought from Magic Box, which is a fantastic shop in Newcastle, which sells magic tricks. And the first trick was a coin. You'd hold a coin in your hand, you'd put it into this hand, you'd show this hand empty, and you'd blow, and the coin would magically disappear. But how it was done was there was a crocodile clip with a bit of rubber around it, and a bit of elastic, and a safety pin on the other side. It was like this. And you'd put the safety pin on the inside of the jacket lining, if you like, and the elastic would stretch down the sleeve and pull tight to here. You'd hold the crocodile clip between the finger and thumb, pinch them together, and you'd say, that's your coin. I'm going to hold the coin in my hand, putting it into the crocodile clip. You'd pretend to put it in this hand, let go, and it would shoot up your sleeve, and then you'd show it empty. And usually the coin would hit off your arm and you'd have a nasty mark and it would hurt. But that was my first magic trick, the Coin Vanisher, with the exception of the Sutty magic set. And it was my friend Martin Shields what showed me that trick, and I just carried on learning magic tricks more and more, and they got bigger and better and more skillful sometimes and more expensive sometimes, because magic tricks aren't cheap when you go to the magic shop and buy them. But I just carried on learning magic tricks. When I was 13, I was working semi-professionally around bars and nightclubs and casinos and stuff in Newcastle. I wasn't old enough to be in these places, but I just would go in on a Tuesday in the Easter holidays, for example, when the bar manager's around and he's not running around because it's not a Saturday night. And I would just go into the bar wearing a suit, a cheap suit from Asda or something, and I'd be wearing a suit, walk in, and I'd look the part and I'd talk the talk and I'd do a few tricks, and I'd just say to the bar manager, I'll come in and I'll perform a few magic tricks for you on Friday and Saturday nights, and I'm willing to do it for free. I'll just work for tips. So you get a free magician and I get somewhere to perform magic. And the bar manager always said yes. When I was 13, I went to the Whitley Bay Playhouse to see An Evening with Paul Daniels. I was too young to see the Paul Daniels magic show when it was on the television, and I was also too young to get the Paul Daniels magic set. I was born in 1989, so I'd have been like 1 when everyone was getting the Paul Daniels magic set. So I got the Sutty one. But I did get a chance to go and see Paul Daniels live at the Whitley Bay Playhouse, and I went with the Northern Magic Circle Junior section, led by a lovely lady called Cynthia Neptune. I joined the Northern Magic Circle when I was about 12, 13, the juniors, and Cynthia Neptune took us along to see Paul Daniels and the lovely Debbie McGee at the Whitley Bay Playhouse. And when I saw Paul on stage performing magic tricks and presenting his show perfectly and making the audience laugh and be amazed and baffled, when I saw him working on stage, at that point, when I was sitting there in the audience on the front row looking up at this guy, that's when I knew that I wanted to be a magician. I was looking at him and I said, that's what I want to do for a living. Okay, I've got one completely empty bag, nothing at all inside the bag. I'm going to close the bag and I'm going to place it right here on the mic stand. I will take ping pong ball number 1 into my left hand. And ping pong ball number 1 lands inside the bag. Ping pong ball number 2 also lands inside the red bag. Ping pong ball number 3 also lands inside the red bag. If you don't believe me, look. Nothing in the hands. But ping pong ball number 1 is inside the bag. Ping pong ball number 2 is inside the bag. And last but by no means least, ping pong ball number 3 is in the bag. 'Tis magic. When I was 16, I left school to perform magic full time. Now, I'd just been working the bars and nightclubs up until then and taking the odd booking here and there for like a birthday party or a christening or something like that. So when I was 16, I left school to do it full time, and I rang around all the local hotels and restaurants and things like that. And I said, hi there, my name's Chris Cross, I'm a magician. Would you like me to come and perform magic tricks on Saturday nights in your restaurant? I can come in as a residency every Saturday. Sorry, we already use somebody. Oh, sorry, we already use another magician. Sorry, we already use another magician. Ringing hotels. Hi there, do you have a magician that you recommend for corporate events and weddings and things like that? Oh, sorry, we already use a magician. We've already got somebody. Oh, sorry, thanks anyway. And the same few names were popping up all the time, who are still around today, and they're all very good magicians and friends of mine now. But the same names are cropping up, so I couldn't get gigs. So I was just relying on working for tips at the bars and nightclubs, which was nowhere near enough to make a full-time living. It was alright through school for a bit of a laugh, but I couldn't get bookings because I didn't realise that there was already so many other magicians working in the area. The market was saturated really at the time, with magicians popping up all over the place following David Blaine coming on the scene and magic getting cool and popular again. So I couldn't get that many gigs, so I started to do a magic show on the street, and street performing was great. So I would stand outside a McDonald's in front of entrance Eldon Square, right in the middle of Northumberland Street, with my magic table and some tricks, and I would do little shows, and at the end hold the hat out, you know, getting donations in the hat at the end. But the money wasn't really great. I'd be knocking out 20 little magic shows a day on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, and you know, not really making that much. People putting pennies in and stuff, and it wasn't great. So I realised what I needed to do is something bigger and better and more visual. I was just getting little audiences, small audiences of like 20, 30 people around my little table to watch my little tricks. So a street performer friend of mine called Rob Roy Collins helped me change the magic show into a bigger show. And, you know, we sat down one night and she said, well, what tricks can you do? I was like, well, these card tricks, these ones here, and they're all fairly small tricks. And we're chatting about it, and I says, oh, by the way, I can do things like this. And he says, oh, that's not normal. That's not right, you know, and I can clap my hands with my elbows. Not many people can do that. I can even lick my elbow. And I could skip with my arms, dislocate my shoulders. I don't do it anymore as my shoulders are sore. But he said, well, what have you been doing stupid little magic tricks for in the middle of the street when you could be doing all this big mad stuff? So I said, well, do you really think that people will watch me dislocate my arms and stuff? He says, yeah. And then he said, well, it would make sense if you're doing all this dislocating stuff. It would make sense for your big finale to do some sort of escapology stunt where you have to dislocate your shoulder to get out of a straitjacket or something. Between the ages of 16 and 21, I changed my act from being a magician and becoming a contortionist and escapologist, and everything was going great. But then in 2011, when I was 22, my shoulders really started to hurt. So I went to see doctors and everything. They told me not to do it. I still carried on doing it for another year or two, but I had to stop. But I had a great time doing it. So what I did after stopping the contortion act is I went back to all of the hotels and restaurants and people like that I contacted when I was 16, saying, "Hi there, my name's Chris, I'm a magician, I'd love to come along and work in your hotel or in your restaurant." We were going, "Oh, Chris Cross, oh, you're that guy who's entertained, you know, like perform magic tricks for Prince Charles, or perform magic tricks for Mike Tyson, perform magic tricks for the Hairy Bikers and Alice Cooper, or perform magic tricks for David Hasselhoff and Talisa, or perform magic tricks for William Shatner, or perform magic tricks for Alan Shearer and Tim Healy, or perform magic tricks for Sir David Jason, or whatever." They knew who I was now. So they were saying, "Yes, we want to make you resident magician at our hotel or resident magician in our restaurant." So I'd gone full circle. One of my biggest achievements, I think, is becoming an author. I've actually written this. It's called The Geordie Book of Magic. It teaches you how to do a dozen Northeast theme magic tricks. It comes with a DVD in the back and a pack of trick cards in an envelope. It's illustrated beautifully by Davy Jones off the Viz comic, and it's got a foreword in there by the lovely Debbie McGee as well. So it's a cracking book. It's suitable for all ages, kids and adults, and it teaches you how to do a dozen Geordie magic tricks. What is a Geordie magic trick, I hear you say? A dozen Northeast theme tricks. So things like Eyes on the Angel of the North, Burglars in the Baltic. There's a trick in there called Toon Toon Black and White Army, where I separate all the red and white cards from the black and white cards, talking about Sunderland and Newcastle. There's a trick in there which is like a 3-card Monty with a bottle of brown ale. What magic means to me? Well, magic to me is my life. It's all I do. It's all I've done. It's what I'm doing now. It's what I'm going to be doing tonight. Magic to me is everything. It's not just a job. It's a lifestyle. You know, being a magician isn't just like turning up to work at 9 o'clock in the morning and leaving work at 5 o'clock at night. And then coming home and forgetting about it. Magic is constant. My phone might ring at 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody from the other side of the world wants to hire me, so I've got to answer the phone. I'm going to take the book and get up and put my diary on. So magic to me is a hobby that's become a business, that's become a lifestyle. So there's one empty hat right here. Okay, one empty hat, just here. Okay, cool. Taking tablets for that. And I've got one pan here. Now this pan fits inside the hat. Yes, fits inside the hat. And inside the pan I'm going to put a few ingredients. Now this isn't just a normal pan. This in fact is a Geordie chip pan, right? This is the national food of Newcastle, a Geordie chip pan, right? We're going to put some potatoes. Oops, we'll put some potatoes. That's gravity. Usually it happens when you take your clothes off. I'm going to put some potatoes in the Geordie chip pan. Not only potatoes, but we're also going to put proper chips. We're going to put some vinegar in. So we've got some potatoes, we've got some vinegar, we've got some salt here. We've got some salt going into the pan, salt and vinegar and potatoes. There we go. We'll put those inside the pan, and we're gonna. This is like I say, this is a magic Geordie chip pan. Okay, the magic Geordie chip pan. So we'll apply a little bit of heat underneath. In fact, we could do with a little bit more, couldn't we? So there we go. A little bit of heat underneath, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the magic Geordie chip pan. Look, chips.